This is an iHeart podcast.
You're darn right I fired those agents. You're darn right I blew up CR-15, the public corruption squad that led the weaponization at the Washington field office. We're just warming up.
You're listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson.
Good Friday morning. It is nice to have you with us on the 47 Morning Update, and this morning's show is going to be a big one, and I hope you'll share it everywhere you can on social media. We've got two stories for you that no one is really talking about. Number one, the FBI Director Kash Patel has fired the FBI agents involved in tracking GOP Senator phone calls. Plus, accountability as the New York Attorney General Letitia James, who was targeting Donald Trump, saying, "Vote for me," and raising money off of going after Donald Trump, has now been indicted on bank fraud charges in Virginia. The details are shocking, and we'll have that for you as well in just a moment. Let me also talk to you about my friends at Kurt Elliott Precious Metals. You may have seen the big news that gold has now reached an all-time new high of over $4,000 an ounce. Now, you may be asking yourself this question: is it the wrong time to invest in gold, or is it going to keep going up and up? Well, there's also another question. What about silver, which has actually had amazing gains over the last 12 months? That's where Kurt Elliott Precious Metals comes in. That's what they do. They give you advice on gold and silver. Trusted guidance from a team that puts people first always. Now, let me be clear. This is a Christian organization. Their mission is also clear. Help you protect what matters most with real metals, real service, and real clarity. Kurt Elliott, this is also what they do that sets them apart. They are a bullion-only approach. What does that mean? They focus on investment-grade metals, and they never sell overpriced, quote, collectibles or gimmick products that you see on TV and on the radio all the time. What their goal is to get you the most metal for your money and a fair value when it's time for you to sell. Transparent pricing, that's their main thing that they're really awesome with. Just 8% over spot when you buy, and here's the best thing: 0 commissions when you sell, and no hidden fees ever. So if you want personalized guidance and you're ready for real clarity in a noisy world, visit KEPM.com/Ben, and you can schedule your personal portfolio review. Ask about today's unique market window and how the current silver to gold ratio might work in your favor. So protect your hard-earned dollars. Plan with clarity. Visit KEPM.com/Ben or just call them. 720-605-3900. That's 720-605-3900, or online at KEPM.com/Ben. It's the 47 Morning Update, and it starts right now.
Story number one.
This first story we're going to be talking about is one that I hope you will take and you'll share it on social media wherever you can, because it is a story that's important and the media is deliberately looking the other way to not cover. It is an important story because it's about the abuse of power and holding those that abuse their power to accountability. The FBI Director, Kash Patel, has fired agents involved in tracking the phone calls of 8 Republican senators and a congressman as part of the former Special Counsel Jack Smith's investigation, a sham investigation into President Donald J. Trump. Communication records belonging to GOP Senators Lindsey Graham, Marsha Blackburn, Ron Johnson, Josh Hawley, Cynthia Loomis, Bill Hagerty, Dan Sullivan, Tommy Tuberville, and Representative Mike Kelly, we know now for a fact, were handed over to Smith's Arctic Frost team after they subpoenaed major phone companies in 2023. The fact was unknown to the public until this week, when Kash Patel, the FBI director, saying he discovered the files hidden in a lockbox that was placed in a vault in a cyber place where no one can see or search these files. The FBI director saying this,
it in a lockbox, put that lockbox in a vault, and then put that vault in a cyber place where no one can see or search these files. They're called restricted access and prohibited access. Restricted access means some people get to see it. Prohibited access, you put it in there when you want to hide it from the world, and that takes the authorization of the Attorney General and the Director of the FBI. So not only did they weaponize this law enforcement, but when we got in there, and when I got in as the FBI Director, from my experience as Russiagate, I knew where to look and what rooms to open and what doors to kick down. And that's what we did. We found this information to expose the politicization by Jack Smith and the prior Department of Justice. I mean, just think about it. 8 sitting United States senators. Phone records were gathered and subpoenaed through the grand jury process, and it was buried and wormholed with the hope that no one would find it. So we're just scratching the surface here, but accountability is coming. We are finding every single person involved. We will not leave a single room locked. We will go in through all the prohibited access requirements, and we will find the material and show the American public, like we have done in this FBI, more transformative and transparent than any in the U.S. history, to bring accountability to the American people. And we will work with our partners in Congress, who should be furious at the prior administration's leadership and weaponization and singular politicization of law enforcement. The American public sees what we're doing, Sean, with the stats you just read off in the beginning. They see what we're doing here to unseal the vault and show the world how the deep state actually operates.
Kash Patel making it clear this is the beginning, not the end. And if you go back and you actually look at what he said, quote, you put it in there, and when you want to hide it from the world, and that takes the authorization of the Attorney General and the Director of the FBI. So not only did they weaponize this law enforcement, but when we got in there and when I got in as the FBI Director, from my experience as Russiagate, I knew where to look and what rooms to open and what doors to knock down, and that is what we did. So if you want to know why the President of the United States of America decided to pick Kash Patel to do this job, it is exactly for this reason. And it goes back to what else he had to say, saying, quote, we found this information to expose the politicalization by Jack Smith. Remember, he's the guy in charge of special counsel, weaponizing our government to go after Donald Trump. And the prior Department of Justice, he added, before revealing that he fired the agents who facilitated the secret investigations into sitting U.S. lawmakers. Now, Hawley, by the way, Senator Hawley, one of the senators who had his phone calls tracked by the Biden administration's DOJ, called Smith's subpoena an abuse of power beyond Watergate, beyond J. Edgar Hoover, one that directly strikes at the Constitution, the separations of power, and the First Amendment. Hawley also said it's time for there to be a special counsel, saying, quote, we need a full investigation of all involved, who knew about it, who ordered it, and who approved it. Anyone and everyone who violated the law must be prosecuted. The way to save the country is to restore the rule of law, the senator said. Now, the U.S. Office of Special Counsel, the OSC, in August opened an investigation into Jack Smith, who may have unlawfully targeted President Trump. And that may be where this investigation is going next.
Now, story number 2.
New York Attorney General Letitia James, a story the media is having to cover right now because, let's be honest, she built much of her political career on one thing: trying to put Donald Trump behind bars, attacking Donald Trump. She even raised money off of attacking Donald Trump and said if she was elected, she would go after Donald Trump. Well, now she has been indicted on a bank fraud charge by a federal grand jury in Virginia. The grand jury in the Eastern District of Virginia returned the indictment on Thursday. Earlier this year, the Justice Department confirmed an investigation into Letitia James over what was described as alleged mortgage fraud. The probe centers on claims that she misrepresented property records and loan applications to secure more favorable financing. By the way, that is against the law. According to a letter from the Federal Housing Finance Director, James allegedly made false statements on multiple documents, meaning that you can see clearly if she was lying. That includes listing a Virginia property as her primary residence when it was in fact not, filing Brooklyn records showing her multifamily building had 5 units instead of 4. That would be what would be categorized as fraud. Submitting a mortgage application claiming she was her father's spouse. Pretty easy to, prove that that wasn't actually true. Now, James has been under scrutiny for at least one suspected instance of misrepresenting an investment property as her primary or secondary residence, a move that could save thousands in interest rates as well. The case is being held by the U.S. Attorney, Lindsay Halligan, a Trump appointee. Halligan, by the way, is new and replaced Eric Siebert, who was ousted after reportedly showing reluctance to pursue cases, one against James and the former FBI Director James Comey. Both, obviously, are individuals that people believe have abused their power, and there are people that say, I'm one of them, that it's time to hold those accountable who have lied and weaponized our government. Now, James has responded, and here is part of what she had to say about the indictment.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost.
Let's be clear. Letitia James is the one who has literally said before that if you would just vote for her and get her in office, she's going to take down Donald Trump. So much for acting like you're not going after your political enemies. We also are getting to witness what the media is doing with this, and they're covering it as big breaking news. But they're also trying to see, can they spin it to hurt Donald Trump, claiming he's just going after his political enemies and acting as if somehow mortgage fraud is not a big deal. Here's how they broke the news on CNN.
CNN breaking news.
Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper, and we start with some shocking breaking news in our Law and Justice Lead. Just moments ago, two sources telling CNN that the Justice Department indicted yet another one of President Trump's perceived political opponents. This time it was New York Democratic Attorney General Letitia James. She was charged in a federal court in a grand jury in Alexandria, Virginia today. You will remember James brought civil fraud charges alleging financial fraud against Trump and his adult sons and his real estate business in New York back in 2022. A judge found them liable and ordered a $355 million fine, which Trump appealed. And this obviously comes in the context of President Trump demanding that the Eastern District of Virginia, the U.S. attorney there, carry out orders to go after his political opponents. James Comey, who has been indicted, Letitia James, who as of today has been indicted. Democratic Senator Adam Schiff is the third that he mentioned in that public Truth Social post that the Wall Street Journal reports was accidentally posted publicly, was meant to be a private message to his Attorney General, Pam Bondi. With me here in New York.
By the way, let's just stop there. Isn't it amazing that they actually overlook the crimes that these people are accused of committing? And isn't it amazing that the same people that were screaming when Donald Trump was indicted on ridiculous and bogus charges, saying, well, he's been charged, he's going to be arraigned, he's going to have a mugshot, he's going to be in court, are now acting as if this is all news that you should just look the other way on. There is one, by the way, one of those that was a part of the hoax January 6th committee, a guy by the name of Adam Kinzinger, who is at least somewhat honest on CNN about this fraud, mortgage fraud charge against Letitia James. And I want you to hear what he said.
And people's trust in our system.
Congressman, I mean, live by the sword, die by the sword. Is that the way the system should be?
Yeah, no. I mean, look, I think two things can be true here. I think the first thing is Letitia James never should have made those comments. She never should have run on, I'm going to go after him before she's seen the evidence, before she's had anything. That was wrong. Not illegal. That was wrong. And then at the same time, there is no doubt, and I mean, we can argue about it, but there's no doubt that this thing they went after her specifically for retribution, specifically because it was her. I mean, all you have to do is read the president's accidental fake tweet or whatever thing that's called posts and know that he was basically saying, Pam, here are two people we have to go after, and then all of a sudden, boy, just miraculously, a new person comes in after the other person said that they didn't have enough to make a case and get indicted. This thing probably, like Comey's, is either going to be thrown out. I'm not a lawyer, so who knows? Either be thrown out before trial, or certainly will be seen as what it is, which is revenge. But I think we can hold Anderson. Both things are true. Letitia James never should have said that in the campaign. And also, they are going after her for one reason, because it's her.
So there you have it. Letitia James is, well, probably did something wrong. And, maybe she did commit mortgage fraud. But hey, they shouldn't go after her because she went after them first in a political way? That is some weird leftist logic. But the one thing that we can be sure about is this. Donald Trump ran on and said he was going to hold those accountable who abuse their positions of power to go after their political enemies. And what we're witnessing right now is the deep state crumbling. And those that went after the president only for political reasons are now being held accountable for their own actions that apparently now include mortgage fraud.
Thank you for listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson. Please make sure you hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. And for more in-depth news, also subscribe to the Ben Ferguson Podcast, and we will see you back here tomorrow.
This is an iHeart podcast.